Jasmine Jones. I'm a licensed clinical social worker, and you are now watching Black Girl, a Therapist in the Wild. And this is a little show that I like to call Therapist Sips and Reviews. And today we are sipping on Greek wine, Vinsanto Santorini, and I am at a new destination. I am in Greece. And so you see my little cave situation here. It's nice. And the wine is good, and the vacation has been nice, and things like that. And I wanted to just check in and do at least the last two episodes of Abbott Elementary. What is it called? Episode 3, Story Samurai, and episode 4, Principal's Office. And yeah, so just a little check-in about Greece. I don't know if I'm going to do a vlog or not because I haven't been carrying my GoPro around, so it's just kind of like, maybe, maybe not. But it's been really nice. This is a sweet wine. It's kind of pruny. And the lady at the store, when I was asking, she was saying that they wait till the grapes turn into raisins and then they make it into wine. And I was like, okay, that's why it tastes like grandma's house. And I don't mind prune juice. You know, that's what we used to drink as a child in the hood. That was my first laxative. So it tastes okay to me. But if you don't like prune juice, you may not like their sweet wine out here. What else about Greece? Oh, there's no street lights. So it's basically, if you've ever been to Tijuana, it's kind of like driving around there, only with no street lights, like not like street lights, like there's lights lighting the street. There's no red light, green light, yellow light. And basically you just got to figure it out when it comes to how you're going to get around. Be careful, be safe. I rented a car because I'm not about to be here for the amount of time I'm here for and not have a car. But it's been pretty nice. It's been relaxing. I couldn't live here though because the roads are very, they're kind of off-roady, and people just be driving like this is normal, and I be getting road rage, and I can't handle all that. So anyways, I'm trying to make this short because I don't know if my GoPro will last as long as I usually ramble on for. But anyways, so yes, I was watching Abbott Elementary, episode 3. And basically the gist of that episode is that Jacob is bringing his friends that do this kind of kid improv dare type situation. You know, like the people that come and then perform for kids in school, and it's kind of corny, but it's like you get out of class and stuff, so whatever. And he just thinks it's the bee's knees, it's wonderful, it's magnificent. And everybody is laughing at him like, oh, he's corny. His friends are corny. And then the B plot of it is that Melissa is falling apart around having basically 2 classes in one class. She can't handle it, and she has been turning down having an A, but she just like, she can't help it. Like, she needs an A. Like, she got kids in there sniffing glue and eating paste and doing all this random shit the kids do that you need more than one person in a class of 40 kids to deal with. So Jacob is like, he wants to perform with his little performance group friends and stuff like that. He thinks it's so cool, and everybody thinks it's so cool. Ava, of course, thinks it's hilarious. She's trying to film it and post it so she can laugh, and everyone on Twitter can laugh. And I'm just like, okay, Ava. Do you, girl? And so Janine, she basically, at first she lies to Jacob and says, oh, you don't want to steal the spotlight from your friends, right? And Jacob's just like, yeah, you're right. So he decides to not get into it. But then one of the kids is just like, oh, no, the group is like, oh no, you need to perform with us. And so Jacob decides to perform, and then when Janine sees that he's performing again, she just tells him the truth that he's corny. So he feels this type of way. He didn't realize people were laughing at him. And he just feels this type of way. But he really wants to perform, but he just was like, I don't want to be laughed at. And I'm just like, just like Gregory told Janine, he was just like, well, if that's who he is, that's who he is. You got to let him be who he is, you know? And I've been thinking the past 2 weeks about white folks. You know, I have a few white clients. Most of my clients are black women, but I have a few white clients. And I often talk to my white clients about embracing their cultures. Like, for example, I'm out here in Greece. I'm getting like Middle Eastern vibes from all these folks out here. Like the structures, the way they look. I literally thought Greek people look like the white Greek people in America, that some of them are racist. Not all. Because what happens in America and in a lot of like purely white European countries is that everybody gets sucked into the conglomeration of whiteness and you lose your culture. So like, let's say in the early 1900s, like Jewish people, Irish people, Italian people, they were their own separate cultures. And then the British, you know, bloodline people looked down on them and made them feel like trash about themselves, you know, until, you know, I guess the white folks needed more numbers. And so they just sucked them all. Anybody that kind of looked white, they got sucked into the conglomeration of whiteness. And so now you have like all these generations of white folks. They don't know where the fuck they came from. They don't know their cultures. And then they're stealing cultures from people of color. And I'm just like, this whole episode is just about embrace your whiteness, Jacob. You are corny, Jacob. A lot of white folks are corny. You don't need to use black vernacular, Jacob. You don't need to do all these extra things, Jacob. You could just be your white self. And so I'm just looking at like people here and I'm just like, these folks look Middle Eastern to me. I would have never guessed. I was coming here expecting them to look the same as, because I had a layover in London. And so it was like a whole day layover. So I like went to this African food place and ate. And I was just looking around at the people and I was like, okay, yeah, they look like the white folks in America and all, you know. I get over here, I'm expecting the same exact thing. And I'm just like, these folks over here look like maybe a lighter skinned Middle Eastern. And I'm just like, white folks is really out here not embracing their cultures. Like the Greek folks back at home that I know, like I don't know a lot, like, so don't quote me on this. I'm not trying to like say all Greek folks and stuff like that. But the Greek folks that I know at home have fully embraced the white conglomeration. And they do the same things that most white folks do. Microaggressions, you know, racist things here and there and stuff like that. And you're just like, And then there's other Greek folks that I know that are just really about being Greek, but they still don't look like the folks over here. I don't know what happens when they get to America. They just look like regular ass white folks over there. But you come over here and you're just like, are these people Middle Eastern? I want to learn. Like I was Googling it and it basically said like Greece used to belong to the Ottoman Empire, but then they fought and now they're a part of Europe. And so I feel like it's a DNA thing or something, because I don't know, maybe that's like Mediterranean. Maybe it's just like Mediterranean. And that's what, because I never knew Mediterranean, like olive skin and all that, what that meant. I still feel like it's Middle Eastern because they're very close. Like they're close to Albania and shit like that, but you know. But it just made me think about that shit. I'm just like, this is why white people need to embrace their cultures. Like, I'm not even saying like all white folks are corny like Jacob. I'm saying like, what is culturally Irish? What is culturally British? What is culturally Scottish, French, Spanish, Spain? You know, what are those cultural things that y'all just said, oh, we're not this anymore after 100 years? Or we're not gonna actively say that we're this. Or unless we're directly asked what our descendancy is. But we don't actually like culturally do any of these things. We don't know those people. We're white. I just don't understand. Like, y'all got interesting shit in your cultures and you just said, no, we're just gonna steal from people. We're gonna steal cultural things. We're gonna steal everything. I'm just confused. But you know, go off sis, whatever. But that's basically what this episode was about. Was all the black folks telling Jacob to just be his fucking self, except for Ava. Ava was just laughing because Ava's Ava and she's the funny bitch and it's just what it is. I just need her to stop sexually harassing Gregory, which she did mention in the second episode, the principal's office. She was like, I haven't harassed you in a few weeks. I'm like, good job, Ava. Because if the roles were reversed and Gregory was the principal and you were a teacher, the shit would not look cute. It would not, people would not treat it like it was cute. There you go. People would not treat that shit like it was cute if the roles were reversed. It's not cute. It's not funny. So I'm glad that she at least stopped. Gregory has not reported her or anything. He just talks a lot of mad shit about her at this point, him and Barbara, and I just love that. It's magical. Yes, because Gregory, stand up for yourself. You do not have to allow that to happen. If you're not going to report her, then at the very least you can talk shit to her. Okay, and then we have episode 2, principal's office. Melissa. She ends up getting an aid at the end of this episode of the Samurai Warriors or the Samurai Readers or whatever the fuck they're called. And so she ends up getting an aid at the end. And the aid is like a Latina, and she's basically like a Latina, what's her name? Dadgummit. What's the girl's name? That's the star of the show. Jillian Gale? Dad, this wine is strong. You know what I'm talking about. Quinta's character, okay? She is a Latin Quinta. And she over here coming into Ava's office, introducing herself with a boombox, singing Jennifer Lopez song, talking about, Ashley. I'm just like, girl. And Melissa's just looking at her like, girl. That's real. She reminds me of AIDS from when I was a kid, and they would just be extra young and extra happy, and you would just be looking, and the teacher would be just sitting there tired, and you would just be like, yes, the aide, and you would always just go to the aide and ask them for shit, and you would ask them for help because they were really nice and just like really fun and shit, and you'd just be like, the teacher would just be tired. Now I get it though. Now I understand, because I don't like those type of people. I just need chill people around me. Like, you can't be overly happy. You cannot be overly sad. You gotta be somewhere in the middle. Just chill. Like, let's sit. Like, I sat at the beach all day and got drunk and stared at the water, and it was nice. Like, you don't have to get drunk. I'm just saying. Like, I'm just saying. So anyways, Melissa was able to accept help. I think Melissa has this complex inside of her where she just is this tough Italian woman, and it's probably a cultural thing too and stuff like that. And that's the thing too. I think it's like when you grow up around people that enforce the culture and keep it in the family. Like, there's a lot of Italian folks especially on the East Coast, that are very proud Italians, and you can tell they're Italians and things like that. But they also went the way of racism and shit like that when it came to black folks. And it's just like, why? Like, the other white people didn't like you either. They were treating you, y'all was living in slums and being called dirty too. Like, I'm confused. Like, just because the ancestors that experienced being called dirty and all that other stuff probably have passed on does not mean that y'all just forget that these other white people were treating you just as bad or worse than black folks. Like, I don't understand. Irish is the same. Like, y'all always like to talk about how you were indentured servants and shit like that. And at the end of the day, that's not chattel slavery. You were not taken from your home and your culture stolen from you for generations. This was a choice, but it was also a choice made through, social political brainwashing as well. That's different than having your culture beaten out of you if you try to speak your language, learn how to read, talk about your culture, have your head shaved off so your cultural hairstyles wouldn't be showing. That's completely different. So, but even still, the fact that you were indentured servants, like, I just feel like you should have some gripes against these white folks. Like, people in Ireland were not, they were not too sad when the Queen passed. So I'm just, what was the transition in America? What happened? Because I know plenty of people that if I ask them a direct question about their descendancy, they'll tell me how Irish they are. But I've never seen any kind of cultural anything to do with Irish in their lifestyle or how they interact with people. Like, I know some people that are Italian that they do some cultural shit in their home, the way they interact with people. And I'm just like, okay, the Italian is strong in these folks, you know? And I'm just like, what happened? I know some Greek folks. I went to, like, there was this, across the street from my house, they had like this Greek festival, and I didn't know it was that many Greek. I didn't even know the church was a Greek church that was across the street. I just thought it was a church. I was like, oh, it's a pretty church. I never went over there, but I went and I was just like, oh, this is Greek church. They had flags everywhere. They were just doing stuff and everything. And I was just like, okay, I didn't know Greek folks to do. I'm just like, okay. Mm-hmm. Some of y'all white folks just transitioned into the white conglomerate and forgot yourselves. That's all I'm saying. And so, Jacob, embrace yourself. If you're corny, you're corny. That just be you. Just be yourself. Like that little kid that was on there talking to Jacob. He was just like, I like him. He's fun. He's a cool teacher. He let us watch this one movie, and I don't remember what the movie was, but he said it was a fun movie, and I was just like, yes, girl. Yes, Jacob. And then we get to, I forgot Quinta's name in this show. Jillian. I'm just gonna call her Quinta. Y'all know who I'm talking about. This wine is strong, y'all. I'm just saying, these folks over here know how to make some wine. Yes, it's magical. Y'all should come to Greece. Whoever can come. I always say, if you can't afford to travel out the country, do a fucking road trip. Do a day trip to a spa. Go for a walk to a hiking trail and that's close to your home and walk and see some different shit. Whatever you can afford to do. Because when I was po, right now I'm like somewhere wavering in limbo of money. I'm not rich, I'm not poor, it's just somewhere, I'm maybe a little above the middle, I don't know. I don't know how people classify these class things at all. But when I was down here in poverty land, I would walk from my house to the movie theater that was like 3 miles away just to get out the house. I would be taking the bus from the South Bay all the way to Hollywood just to get out the fucking house. And I would just be doing shit. When I was little, my mom, like, we couldn't afford to go overseas and things like that, but she took me to Mexico. You know, we did road trips to other states and things like that. That's what got the travel bug in me and shit. I'm just like, you gotta see the world. Because I would have never thought that Greek folks lived so differently from the Greek folks in America. Talked, act, looked, you know, and I'm just like, this is amazing to just learn about other people's cultures and experiences and lives and things like that. Magical. Whew. In the second episode, it's called Principal's Office. And so Gregory is having some issues with one of his students in class. And he doesn't want to be a hard ass on the student, but the kid keeps interrupting, talking about this show, this dog that he liked to watch, this cartoon, and he keeps interrupting the class. And Gregory don't know what to do. So Jacob suggests Gregory send the child to the principal's office. That's the height of punishment. You get sent to the principal's office. So Gregory sends this child to the principal's office. And you know Ava ain't about to punish him. She was just like, well, you send them in here crying. They doing the walk of shame. Like, I'm not doing extras. And Gregory's just like, but that's your job and blah, 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 blah. Look here. The kid was not doing enough for me to say that was Ava's job. Kids that get sent to the principal's office usually are pretty close to extreme cases a lot of the time. They yelling in class, running around in class. I had this kid one time that was throwing his desk and shit because he had ADHD and he was getting angry and irritable and shit. And it was a lot. You know, shit like that. Like, principals are not here to deal with your kids in your class that are talking too much. Most of the time when kids are talking too much, teachers will sit them in a chair outside the classroom and they have to be separated so they get a timeout. So I can see where Gregory's coming from, like this. But if every teacher in that school, because a lot of kids talk too much. Some kids have mental health issues. Some kids just hyper and talk a lot. A lot of kids talk too much and get in the way. He had to learn. He had to learn how to, and in learning how to deal with this child, he learned about himself because he wanted to discipline his child. Like once Ava sent the child back and was like, I don't know what you want me to do here. He had to learn that maybe being a disciplinary type person was not for him. And maybe being a disciplinary type person is what affected him in such a negative way, affected his childhood in such a negative way. Mm-hmm. And so maybe he needed to take a different route because being mean and disciplinary and authoritative to children doesn't always work out. Like, you can have a punishment. It's like that gentle parenting shit. You can have a punishment for the child, but you still need to talk to the child like they're a human being. Like, I'm giving you this punishment because of this. Maybe we can talk about after the punishment how it made you feel, and then maybe we can work through it. Or you can do what Gregory did, and he just incorporated the cartoon into the lesson. It's not that hard. Like, I've had kids like that in therapy sessions where they like some cartoon or some anime and shit. I'll go home and watch that shit and be like, oh, this is interesting, and then find something that I could use with the kid. Go back to the kid and be like, oh, Naruto. What would Naruto do? And they say Naruto's fun too to use if the kids like Naruto, because that shit is full of lessons. Just lessons on lessons on lessons and shit about being nice to people and not treating people fucked up and shit, because look what happened when Naruto was treated fucked up and da-da-da. That wasn't nice and all this other shit. But anyways, Gregory learned about himself. He learned how to help the children. And his dad calls him at the end and he just turns to this different person. So I'm thinking that Gregory's been traumatized somewhat by his dad. And, very straight and narrow and things like that. And so maybe he questions himself a lot, which is understandable if you have very authoritative parent and all these other things. So anyways, the B plot, I don't know, I think that's because Gregory's the A plot, the B plot is Janine doesn't know how to cook. So Melissa offers to help Janine learn how to cook. And then Jacob invites his ass along. He didn't need to be there. Melissa didn't want him there. Janine probably was just she didn't know how to say no. So Jacob ends up coming along. And then Janine started getting into it with Melissa about her sister. Like, why don't you talk to your sister? Your sister's just down the street. Come to find out, Janine's projecting. Because Janine has a fucked up family situation. Her mom sounds like she was emotionally abusive, neglectful, things like that. And then her sister dealt with it by avoidance and moving all the way to Colorado. And it doesn't talk to Janine, doesn't talk to her mom. So she just disassociated herself. I guess she attaches Janine to the trauma that she experienced as a child. And so she's triggered by her sister as well. And so doesn't want to be involved with her. And this, of course, hurts Janine because she, she's saying that, if my sister was down the street from me and we weren't talking, I would feel a type of way and blah, blah, blah. So she tries to orchestrate some weird shit where she makes some nasty ass food and says it's from Melissa. And then Melissa's sister come to her house and cuss her out. And then we find out Janine did it. So anyways, Melissa understood that Janine, what she was getting into with Janine. See, I remember her name. I wasn't paying attention. I've been saying Janine for a minute. So anyways, Melissa understood what she was getting into with Janine. She understood that Janine is meddlesome. See, I don't know. I feel like this episode kind of taught me a lesson too, because I don't like meddlesome people. But it made me reconsider the reasons behind why somebody is meddlesome and why you got to have a conversation with them about wwhy that's not okay. Instead of just being if you don't stop get butting into my fucking life, when I told you no, I'm gonna hit you. Cause I don't like trying to be controlled. I don't like when I say no, you're not listening. That shit bothers, and then you keep doing it. That shit bothers the shit out of me. Do you not hear me? I know you think I need something, and I probably do need something, but I'm not ready to take that thing that I need. So since I'm not ready for it, I don't need you to force it on me. That's how I treat my clients. If they're not ready to do some shit, I'm not going to enforce shit on them because I know how that feels for me. And so I was just sitting there while Janine was butting in. I was just like, this bitch keeps butting into people's lives. What the fuck is wrong? And then come to find out, This wasn't malicious. It wasn't her trying to force things. It was her projecting and assuming other people's emotions were the same as hers, which it was, but like Melissa wasn't ready yet. Like, as you saw the little thing at the end, Melissa showing the pictures of her sister and all this other stuff, like her and her sister Bendon had a toxic relationship that they just normalized. And some of that shit could be cultural. So going back to white culture, different cultures and shit like that, some of that could just be cultural. Like how boys, when their siblings will roughhouse and shit like that, but they'll still love each other. So I'm not gonna say that, you know, Melissa and her sister don't love each other or didn't love each other or anything like that. I'm just saying, what was I saying? I'm just saying that Janine, that Melissa wasn't ready. Melissa was not ready to embrace her sister the way. And I mean, I'm not saying that sometimes that shit doesn't work when you care about a friend and you see that they're going through some shit and you want to enforce some shit. I'm not saying sometimes that shit doesn't work. I'm saying that most of the time that shit only works on television. In real life, motherfuckers get their ass cussed out or they lose a friend. So don't be out here like, oh, my friend doesn't talk to their sibling. I don't know the full backstory behind it, because Janine thought that she didn't talk to her sibling because she bought some food that was nasty and the whole family was mad. No, there was a deeper story. See, Janine bypasses asking about what the story is. She bypasses that shit and goes straight to, oh, they don't talk and they're sisters. And I would want to talk to my sister. So she's just thinking about herself. Like I always say, mental health issues are a selfish thing because you don't consider other people's feelings and emotions behind what they're doing. You just consider it from your own perspective. So that's why projection is not great, because Janine was just considering that situation from her own perspective and wasn't considering what could the backstory behind her not talking to her sister be. You know what I mean? Like, I would have asked first. I'd have been like, so why don't you talk to your sister? What's up with that? She like right down the street. And then she could have chose to tell me or to not tell me. And if she had told me, then I'd be like, oh, okay, so she didn't show up for your grandmother. That makes sense, you know? And maybe I would have said something like, you know, trauma, people react differently to trauma. And so I'm not saying it was right or okay. I'm just saying that sometimes when our baser instincts kick in, we ain't thinking right. And she may feel really bad about that. And because y'all ain't sat down and talked about it, you don't know that she feels bad about that shit or how bad she feels about that shit. Because anybody, I mean, it sounded like she loved your grandma, your nana. There you go. Because I call my grandma Nana. And I'm thinking like, did she say Nana or Nana or something different? She said Nana. And so, you know, she probably loved y'all Nana a lot. And that's why she couldn't show up, because it hurt too much. And some people are afraid of emotional pain, and it's upsetting that happened. But then, you know, Janine ain't a therapist. Janine ain't talked about going to a therapist. I hope to see an evolution in a future episode where she at least talks about going to a therapist, because she needs to go to therapy. They all do, but Janine the most, because everyone else is like functioning. Janine ain't got a life. I don't even think she got hobbies outside of the school. She just over here sobbing about her sister over fucking garlic. She just like, I need her to go to therapy. Like, we got Gregory over here waving her wings. He checking on her and we just wanted to say hi and shit like that. Even the janitor see that they got some mixing up. He came up behind them. He was like, y'all fighting? Because when Gregory wanted to take the little kid to the principal's office, he wanted Janine to watch the class, and Janine was like, I think that's a lie. And I'm just like, Janine, stop butting in. Shut the fuck up. Let him learn. Janine is not the type to just let people learn. She needs to fix. And that shit irritates the fucking shit out of me, but it's like I have to calm myself. This is why I said this show has taught me something. Because it's not coming from an evil place. She just needs to learn. And once you tell her, Even if you have to cuss her out, she will get it. Her feelings may be hurt, but she will get it. And that is the sign of a decent human being that just got some issues. So she gets it, once you tell her. And sometimes you gotta cuss her out or something bad has to happen, but she gets it. So I can't be mad at Janine. It's annoying. It's annoying as fuck. But I'm mad at Janine. And so anyways, that's the 2 episodes. I liked it. This is a good ass show, y'all. It is. I like Abbott Elementary. Another show that I think I'm gonna wait till the season is over just because it already started. And I wanna do more of a summary because it's already started. Is Interview with a Vampire. I have loved Anne Rice since I was a child. Her and Stephen King were some of the first horror books I read in middle school. I read Interview with a Vampire. I read her witch books. I read a good portion of her vampire books. And I read her Sleeping Beauty books. I don't care. And so, that was black. It's blackity black, black, black. And I heard, because I followed her before she passed, and I follow her son. And I heard that she was on board, and then they removed her from production because she didn't like the way the show was going, and her son didn't agree with the way the show was going. And my thing is, I'm wondering why. Because Anne Rice don't have a lot of black main characters in her books. And my thing is it because Louise is black? Because if that's the case, please don't ruin Anne Rice's image for me. Because Louise is black. I'm upset. You come from New Orleans. Why would that be a big deal? And I had to think about it, and I was just like, none of her main characters are black that I've read. I mean, I could be mistaken, but I think there's some side characters that are black, but I've never read an Anne Rice book where one of her main characters were black, and that makes me question. What were you so upset about? I'm just curious, because I love the whole thing that he's black, and we're going through because Louise embodies, Louise is the main character of, so remember that movie in the 90s, Interview with Vampire with, what's his name, Brad Pitt and Tom Cruise? I like that movie. That was when Brad Pitt was fine. Then we learned later on that he has some kind of mental health issues and he did some bad things to Jennifer, what's her name? Not Jennifer, but what's her name? His ex-wife that he had a child or so with. But back then he was fine. He was beautiful and he was Louise for me. Okay, Louise embodies this just despair and I don't want to be a vampire. He was already depressed before he became a vampire and, he just embodied it. And then this new Louise is on top of that, it's LGBTQ despair, being a black man despair. And then I love the direction they went. I love it. I haven't caught up on the episodes yet. I only saw the first 2. So I need to catch up. But Interview with the Vampire is on AMC Plus or something. It's so good. And I want to do a little thing for it because it's so good. So I wish it was on Hulu or Netflix because I'm in Greece. They don't have Hulu in Greece, okay? I had to do some maneuverings on the computer to find Abbott Elementary so that I can watch it because they don't have Hulu, they don't have HBO Max, they don't have Disney Plus in Greece. I'm not paying for a VPN for 2 episodes of something when most of the time I've been watching Netflix and shit like that. So maybe I did the same thing for Interview with a Vampire because I refuse to pay for a streaming service just to watch one show. It's the same reason I don't pay for Stars. Why am I paying for a streaming service that has, for one show, that only lasts for a few weeks, and then I'm not using that streaming service? You see, that's a waste of money. Just put it all on the main ones and we can just watch it on there and y'all can get money off. The main streaming services. Why y'all gotta put it on these little streaming services that don't nobody want to pay money for, and you only got 1 or 2 shows that are good? That's dumb. I'm not doing that. I don't care what none of y'all think. I'm not paying for AMC Plus for 1 show. It is what it is. So, just like in college, I did some maneuverings on the internet so I could bring you this video about Abbott Elementary. And also, I'm probably gonna do some maneuverings on the internet so I can watch Interview with Vampire, because I'm not paying for AMC Plus. Fuck y'all. I don't do that usually anymore, okay? So it's not a habit of me to go on the internet and find shit, okay? But there's certain shows that I only want to see that show. I don't want to see all the other shit that is, I don't want to see that. So don't come for me. I don't be out here maneuvering on the internet for a bunch of different shows and not paying for nothing. I go to the movies when I want to see a movie and I pay for the movies and things like that. I no longer maneuver on the internet for movies. So don't come for me. But anyways, how did you enjoy the last 2 episodes of Abbott Elementary? I thought they were really good. I want to see an arc where Janine goes to therapy. She needs to go to therapy. I'm glad that Ava has stopped harassing Gregory. I'm glad that Gregory has developed his clap back, because that's what Ava gets. She needs to stop harassing. It's uncomfortable. That's uncomfortable. If someone is not interested in you, she ain't even like asking him out or nothing. Like somebody would ask somebody out on a date. She like harassing him at school. Like, you seen these people that are getting in trouble for fucking around with their employees and shit like that. I don't even know why she's trying Gregory like that in the first place. He is a subordinate. That is not okay. On top of that, even if it's consensual, it's not okay. So, anyways, let me know what y'all think. I hope this video comes out good. I just try to do my best with the lighting. I'm black, so it may not be bright enough, but hopefully y'all still enjoy what you've seen. And I'm in Greece, y'all. I'm gonna be here for a little bit. Don't come for my shit, because I have somebody watching my apartment. That's why I feel comfortable doing this video. Someone's watching my shit. People know I'm here. No, we're not doing that. Oh, one thing that will keep you from getting, one big, huge thing that will keep you from getting kidnapped will help. I'm not saying it's a cure-all or whatever. Getting a rental car. I know it's scary to get a rental car in another country, but it's worth it. When I can go from here to here to here to here, get in my car and leave, not get on some random ass public transportation, walking blocks in the dark back to my hotel and shit like that. That is a safety feeling for me. So that's why I didn't travel overseas till I had money. Because no, there are certain amenities that I need to have in order to feel safe. And so it's good to know. It's a good thing to keep in the back of your head. If you is traveling, especially overseas, I do a domestic too, I'll get a rental. But especially overseas, because you need to be able to get up and go. That's what I'm saying. You need to be able to get the fuck up and go. You only be in these random ass taxis, and there are certain countries that either don't have rentals or you just don't want to drive in that shit in a rental car. But I wouldn't go to those countries by myself. There are countries that I don't mind going to by myself. So until God has blessed me with a husband or just a travel buddy that doesn't get on my nerves, I will be traveling to the countries that I feel safe traveling to by myself, and only those countries until that happens. And then I'll travel to like the countries where they don't have rental cars, or you shouldn't be driving in that country because there's just a lot of different shit going on and shit happens. So yes, let me know what you thought about this video. Hopefully everything turns out okay, because I'm using my GoPro and I'm just like, bitch, if this shouldn't come out okay, I'm gonna be upset. And later days.